So, when did Islam arise? It arose from Ishmaelism or Hagarenism or Lakhmid Christianity. But when did it actually become Islam? You could say it happened in the 8 or 900s. The Quran was actually put together under the reign of Abdul Malik bin Marwan. Even if you go back 300 years, you won't find the same Islam as you do now, because there had to be a reform, and the reform was, people say Islam never went through a reformation period. Yes, it did. It's called Wahhabism or Salafism, and it happened 300 years ago, and it started to emerge. It basically came into full effect in the late 80s, early 90s, and really took off in the late 90s, early 2000s because of ISNA mosques. Saudi Arabia, Wahhabism is the official Islam of Saudi Arabia, and Wahhabism has encompassed Sunniism. And this is a new Islam, because before, even though people will say it was against Islam, even in Pakistan still, there are both Shia and Sunni that go to make pilgrimages to the site of dead holy men. If you listen to Yusuf Estes, he'll sidestep. He'll either sidestep the issue of Salafism and Wahhabism, or he'll endorse it. He says, I think he says, you take the book Milestones and you rip the cover off it, you give it to any Sunni Muslim, and they'll agree with it. I've heard him say that before. The Islam of today, of the radicals, I don't want to say of today, but of the radicals, of this new Islam, they forget that Islam has not only a jurisprudence to it, but it had tradition linked to it as well. You could see this in the way they pray. Whether, you put your hands high up on your chest or at your belly button, whether you hold out the three fingers and hold your wrist with thumb and pinky, or whether you leave your arms by your sides, which is the correct one. But there was a great tradition of mercy in Islam, which these idiots are basically saying, well, since it's not written down, we can't have it. But yeah, Islam, like, you could argue Christianity, is an ever-changing thing, and you can't really pinpoint when it started. We can with Christianity, because there's a lot of documentation that things like Calvinist thinking, Luther, they're tagged by their name. The rapture is just under 200 years old, and so is creationism. But with Islam, when we're talking about the codified beliefs like in the Sunnah and the Quran, it definitely did not come from the 7th century. And majority of it didn't even come from the 8th century. It really is a 9th and actually 10th century invention, and it didn't start to be practiced as it is until, it's kind of like the Torah. Nobody ever practiced all those rules, and they were an afterthought. They were made up afterwards. It wasn't handed down. Now that may seem blasphemous to some people. Even the Jews will tell you There are certain laws in the Torah that were never, ever invoked, or that they were meant to be last measures. They weren't first off the bat. With the rise of this, what people call fundamentalist Islam, or Wahhabism or Salafist, is really just shit. It's ahistorical Islam.